sorry, guys. I know it's your evening, 8 something at night.
It's okay. I already fed my kids.
Yeah, so did we. We're good.
How is your daughter doing through all this, Riss?
Nishi, she's really having a hard time. So she's so used to going to cons that I told her, I was like, okay, 14 days, when it was first implemented, right? So I was like 14 days, and she said, okay, Mom, it's 14 days. I said, okay, no, now it's 20. And then she goes, you're gonna keep extending it. I want to see Lauren. Oh, sorry. And, of course, it's just so hard, right? So she told Lauren, she goes, my mom said that I have to stay away to protect you guys. I said, it's to protect you too.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's really hard for the kids.
Yeah. And she doesn't have a spoon. So she doesn't have anyone to irritate her or to, play with her or to. Chris said I do that. I irritate her.
Yeah. My kids don't understand. Can't play with the neighbor's kids.
Yeah.
Right? You can look out the window and see the neighbor's kids there, and it's not the same. I know.
Yeah.
We set up a little pool table, and one of the other kids next door. Oh man.
Yeah.
I saw a post my daughter shared with me that she saw, I think it was on Twitter, and one of the medical workers were walking back in the door, and their little boy ran to him, and the dad had to stop him. And,
oh my God.
And it was the saddest, I was so sad. And I do know people in the medical profession right now that they're not even staying at their own home. They're staying somewhere else where they won't be around their children for now because of their worry about the spreading of the virus. They're just they're trying to quarantine themselves away from their own families, especially when they have elder their mom lives with them, and so I'm like, wow, it is sad.
Yeah, and the elderly, right? I mean, a lot of people are concerned about the elderly too, so that's a really tough one. I mean, we're talking on our my team in Guam and Saipan, and one of our team members has elderly there, right? So okay, so hold on, guys. I think it might have disconnected us again. Oh, I think we might be live. No, I don't know. I'm going to give it another maybe 5 minutes, and then if it doesn't, I'm just going to keep our conversation going. And then at such time when it shows that we're on, we're going to be on because it's already almost going to be 20 minutes into 8 o'clock, and I don't want to keep you guys too long. So
no problem.
It's just not cool. Hi, Lil. I'm almost done with my coffee. We haven't even started yet. God. I'm so sad because I really wanted this to work. And a lot of people were looking forward to it. So, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and start. No, it's okay. I mean, I apologize because I'm not even sure what's going on. But if we happen to go live in the middle of all of it, we'll just kind of pick up where we left off. Okay, so thank you guys for joining me. If you're on Facebook, I apologize. I'm not even sure why we're not connecting, but we're going to go ahead and record for all of you, and then you'll see the live footage after. So I just want to introduce our panel. We have my sister Lisa Cruz. She is a retired mom and grandma, and she has, I think, a ton of value to share with everybody as far as her creativity and how she's keeping the kids, still learning in this environment of sheltering in place. And then I have Marissa Castro, who is a teacher at JQ, right, Marissa? Mm-hmm. JQ San Miguel. And so, just wanting to get, some of our educators on board to talk to us about what are some of the creative things that you guys are doing, some of the struggles, and then just some of the tips that you want to offer out there to parents, because you're a parent yourself. Then I have my daughter-in-law, Alexandria Garcia, and the very real struggles of having 3 small kids at home and having to do remote work And so there's a lot of, challenges around that. But I mean, there's also a lot of gratitude and things. And so Alex will share a little bit about her story. And then I have Marcella Takai. Marcella is a counselor at Inarahan Middle School, right? Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Inarahan Middle School. And so, our middle school kids, I think a lot of times, I mean, all of our kids are struggling through this, but middle school kids in general struggle outside of, COVID-19 with identity and, going from being a little kid to being teenagers. And so there's a lot of that going on with them. And then in addition, they're having to shelter in place. And so those are a lot of struggles there. And then we have Glenn Lujan, who will pop in and out with us. Glenn is a dad. He is a leader in his own organization. And so having to run, a company, run his operation from home, and then still have to take care of the kids because everyone is home. And so the real challenges of a leader in his organization, and then a leader to his kids, and how to manage those two pieces. And we may have a surprise guest that will pop on a little bit later, so we shall see. So yeah, Facebook disconnected me again, and I apologize for that. So I'm just gonna try one more time to connect. Okay, so it's preparing the live stream. So in the meantime, okay, panelists, thank you all so much for joining me. I know that, this can be a little bit, different for you as well. You're not used to going on Facebook Live. So I appreciate you all coming on and, just being honest and sharing all of your stories. And, just for all of you that are listening out there, I just want you to know that, this conversation is really a spin-off from the first Facebook Live that I did around the emotional impact that COVID-19 has on all of us. And I got a lot of direct messages after that from many different people, and then just phone conversations from parents that are struggling, from, just talking with you guys as well. And I realized that there was a need to hone in on the emotional impact that it has on our kids, right? And I don't know if you guys remember me saying it in my first Facebook Live, that kids are not half human, they're full human. But sometimes as adults, we don't intentionally treat them as half human, but the things that we say or the things that we do, sometimes that's the message that comes across to our kids is, my feelings are not important enough. They shouldn't be validated. I shouldn't feel this way. And so all of the messages that we give to our kids to help them through this, those are never intentional to make our kids feel bad about anything, but it's just trying to help them through it. But a lot of what we teach them is because of all the misinformation that we've learned as adults, right? Which is what I teach in grief recovery. So I'm here as an emotional expert, as a grief expert, and then also just to moderate our panel discussion. So I want to start, and I guess I'll just go around really quick. So I want to start with our educators and just go with first Marissa. And you posted something the other day that I thought was really, really cool. And just I want you to talk to us a little bit about that. So what your school is doing, and then what you're also seeing what other schools are doing, and how that is affecting or giving you ideas in response to how you're working with your kids. So tell us a little bit about what your school is doing today to help our parents and our children navigate through sheltering in place.
So we actually had all of our grade level teachers come in and prepare learning packets. And so what the packets consist of is about 2 weeks worth of academic work, language, reading, and math. And we even have packets for Chamorro included in it. So our Chamorro teachers were also very actively engaged in creating the packets. And what the office staff did was they were so gracious enough to run it off for us. And then the teachers, grade level by grade level, practicing the 6 feet, of course, keeping distance, social distance. Right. So our administrator ensured that each grade level was allotted about an hour to batch these worksheets, in batch it for the kids. And so we actually prepared it today. So that flyer that appeared on my Facebook was simply to reach the families, that are, from our district, from JQ San Miguel, to come Wednesday. And even at that, the different grade levels were allotted time slots to come in at different times, to come in and see their teachers and pick up these learning packets. So we called it Grab and Learn.
Grab and Learn. I like that.
Yeah. So it was a really nice flyer, very informational. And of course, like I said, it shows like the times and whatnot. So that will be happening next Wednesday. Now, given that the governor did, she did share right in her address at 1:00. I don't know what impact that will have on the plans for Wednesday. But for right now, until we get more directive, I'm hoping it's still a go.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, because of I thought I saw that somewhere where you can't be out and you have to have something. Is that real? Like you have to have something on your dash to show the reason that you're going to be out. It's gotten that serious on Guam, huh?
It's a serious matter, and I know the governor's really trying her best to try to enforce, lovingly. Right. Right now, we're just waiting for word.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, we have to adapt during these times. And sometimes leaders do have to make some very tough decisions that not everyone is going to agree with. But at the end of the day, we have to trust that they're making these decisions, for all of the people that they lead, right? I mean, I know that as a boss, I didn't always get, rave reviews about the decisions that I made, or I myself, to my own leaders going, I can't believe they made that decision. But at the end of the day, that's what they get paid for, right? To make those tough decisions. And a lot of times we're not privy to the reasons behind why they make those decisions, and that we just trust that those decisions are going to be the best for everybody, right? So I just want you guys to know that I did share the Zoom ID with everybody. So if people do log on, I'm not going to bring them into the panel discussion, but they'll be able to see and hear what we're talking about. And so that will at least get those that were really wanting to join to log on. So anyways, okay, so thanks, Riz, for that. And I'll come back to you about some other questions as we move forward. So Marcella, you are a counselor for middle school kids. Tell us about, your environment as a counselor, what your role is in helping the teachers in navigating through the sheltering in place, and also the kids, right? So you're kind of like that middle person in between the students and the teachers and faculty. So talk to us about, your role there, what's working, what's challenging, things like that.
Okay, so, well, what we have been doing, I'm a part of our leadership team at our school. And so we've been having meetings, and then there's district-wide meetings as well on Zoom, just like we're doing now. And we are actually discussing different ways of reaching our students. As far as our counseling goes, we're still seeking guidance as far as whether or not we could do direct services. But right now we are trying, like I do see a lot of our counselors actually posting, positive tips, things that the students can do during this time while they shelter in place, how to manage their feelings or their emotions. There's even like calendars that are being posted out, so kids have access to seeing just things they can do while they're just at home and they're feeling a lot about this. So, but as far as us connecting directly with students, we haven't necessarily figured our way around that. If we were at school, we would talk with them one-on-one or in small groups.
Exactly.
But right now, with things being the way that they are, we want to also do things, ethically. So we're still trying to navigate that as far as the counselors are concerned. And they've been very active on our chats, giving each other resources and sharing. In fact, I just shared a resource with you from Antolon Middle School,
right?
Where the counselors have a page, and they've set it up so that the students can read through those informationals and look at PowerPoints off of their webpage.
Yes, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
I love that idea. I love that creative idea that they did there, right? Just trying to reach the masses in any way they can, right?
Yes, and then what I shared earlier with regard to Stumbo Middle School doing their counselors setting up the Instagram page and having teachers, do a short video out to their students. I think it's just it is a stretch. We are not getting everybody, but we're trying. I think what's really at the heart of it is that there are a lot of educators, counselors, administrators, downtown people trying to get together and just figure out ways of how we can continue education for our students while we're not physically, able to. And it's been hard, but it's been really neat to see how this is going, and then how it's intrinsically being a motivation, because our kids are not getting graded right now. They're not this is for their own enrichment and for their own benefit. And so to know that our students are like logging on to MobyMax or going onto these websites and doing these things, and parents are utilizing the resources we're giving them, like that's amazing. And for us, using the MobyMax platform and having our students at least 20% of our students getting on right now, that's like really encouraging, because it's not for nothing that we're doing this, knowing that we can see. So, shout out to all of DOE and all the parents that are inquiring. Shout out to them as well, and it's not an easy time. So good job, everybody. Keep it up. Thank you for doing what you do.
Yeah, and thank you too, just to all of you. I just think that it's so amazing that everyone is just coming up with all of these different creative ideas. Before we started our official discussion, I was saying to you guys that I don't have any, I couldn't offer any of these creative things to you because I have no kids in the house today. I try and talk to my grandkids as often as I can throughout the week. But I don't have kids physically here. So I'm not experiencing the challenges that all of you are experiencing. And I think that the most that I could do is offer that emotional support. And then also just, just remind people about all of the different things that we teach all of you as adults. Those are the same concepts that we want you to lead your kids with, right? All about, not minimizing your grief, acknowledging that their human emotions are very, very real. And so, in talking about that, and I'll go into some of the other things about grief that are important, but in talking about how their feelings are very, very real and we need to validate it, I want to go over to my sister Lisa, because you have posted something on Facebook and Instagram, I believe just yesterday or today, about how, you were reading some of the journal entries of your kids and your grandkids, and, really just feeling that compassion and realizing that they're all impacted by this emotionally, the sadness, the fear, all of those things. So tell us about what your kids are going through and how you're managing through that.
Well, one of the very first thing that at least the older kids said was they all miss their friends. So I think they're missing that social interaction with people that are not me. They need to interact with their own peers. Mm-hmm. And so they're really, really missing that the most.
Right.
And they're bored. They claim to be bored, but they have stuff to do. They have a lot of stuff to do. It's just not stuff they want to do.
Yes.
So my daughter actually, in her journal and in her writing, talked about how she can't even talk to her friend because her friend doesn't always have her phone, and she doesn't have Instagram, and all of these things that would be able to make them connect. And so she's really sad because that's the friend that she usually shares all her feelings with. Aww. So I felt really bad, I use my phone. But my thing was with getting the kids to do stuff wasn't really just for them. I think it was for me too, because I don't want them on their device all day. I don't want them on their their iPad or their Xbox or whatever device they have. I don't want them to be on it from the minute they wake up to the time they fall asleep. Right. So I still put boundaries on that kind of stuff. Like, they can't be on their device after 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And when they wake up in the morning, that can't be the first. They have to get cleaned up. They have to eat breakfast. And then we discuss what kind of academic stuff we're going to do for the day. Sometimes I'll do it with them in the morning. Sometimes I'll do it in the afternoon. And then I give them the opportunity to tell me what they want to work on. They're like, man, do we really have to write? And I said, well, when's the last time you actually picked up a pencil? It's been 2 weeks. Right. I said, you can write or you can read. Oh, we want to write. So they wrote. And I was really surprised that they took time and they wrote down just a bunch of different things. They even said, we're so bored, we miss school. I mean, who says I was like, what? Yeah. And then they said, you know, you're harder than my teacher. And I was like, what? They're like, you said we have to write a full paragraph. And I said, a full paragraph is in 2 sentences, at least 5. And like, but you said a full page and you don't want us to skip lines. And I'm telling them, stay with the lines, make sure you get your paragraphs.
Overachiever.
And I'm like, oh, wait, hold up. We're not grading this. Okay, I'll just write it, however you want to write it. But at least spell it correct. Good grief. I said, I'm going to give you vocabulary words, and then you're going to have to look up the meaning, and then use each word in a sentence. And that is the worst thing. They don't let us do that. That's the worst assignment. We don't like that.
Yeah.
So it's just stuff like that. Just keeping them grounded and not just letting them feel like they're on vacation. Because I told them, you guys are not on vacation. So every now and then I make them watch a video or 2 about world news. Something that talks about the numbers, how people are getting better or how people are getting worse, or just different things, just so that they know what I know.
Yeah. That
I'm not hiding anything from them, because their first, the first thing they thought when we asked them what they thought about this coronavirus, if you get it, they thought immediately you're going to die. That's what they thought. I was like, no, you don't just die, get coronavirus. That's not what it is. And so like, well, what is it? So I found this video that was animated. It was cartoonish. And it really talked about the origin of coronavirus and how there were so many different types, and how are the ways that you can get it, and what happens to your body, and the different things that that can happen. Not just death, but you can actually get well, and how you can transfer to people, and how important hygiene was, and staying home and not, social distancing. So it was really good. There's a lot of good informational stuff out there. You just have to look for it and find the ones that the kids will understand. Because I have a 6-year-old and now I have a 2-year-old. Of course, he doesn't understand. He doesn't care.
Hey, he knows his shapes. Was it octagon?
Octagon.
Octagon was his favorite shape. So every shape she showed him, that was an octagon. Yeah. It was super cute.
Thank you. On octagon, which is why there was no octagon on the paper.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to come back to you about some of the other things that you do, because there's some other stuff that I was noticing that you were posting. And by the way, thank you for posting that, because I think that in addition to you sharing it here, whoever follows you on Facebook or Instagram are able to see what you're doing with the kids. And that offers a lot of value, more than you even realize. Like, I'm looking at it going, wow, man, I wish I had kids here, because I want to do that too. It is. It's super cool. So thank you for doing that, sister. Okay, I want to go to my daughter-in-law. Lex, are you there, honey? Or are you in the middle of something? Okay, there you are.
I'm here.
Everybody say hi to Elijah. He is my grandchild number 8. So Lex, honey, I won't keep you too long, and don't worry about it. Just be raw and real, guys. This is a raw and real conversation going on here. So Lex, you do remote work every so often before coronavirus, but you didn't have the kids home when you were doing that most of the time, right? or if you can only
Yes.
have one kid home and not all three kids. And so now you have all three kids, plus you have to remote work, which is I want to say it's different than remote working every so often. Now it's like a full-time remote work.
Yes.
And then not only that, your husband is not home right now, right? Because social distancing because of his travel. So talk to us about your everyday challenges with being able to manage wearing all of those hats.
It is definitely a struggle, and one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. It is so overwhelming. Sometimes it's like 4 against 1 because it's my job and the 3 kids against me, Monday through Friday. And I think the first week was the most stressful because I didn't set realistic expectations for myself. And so I was completely burnt out. And so the next week, I just had to be realistic and do what I can for everything and everyone.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And are you finding that to be easier now?
It is easier, but it's still definitely challenging.
For sure.
Because they're just so young.
Yes.
And needy. Yeah.
I know. Well, I feel like so bad. Like there's a lot of times where, I'm telling Mick, I really wish I could be on Guam, helping her because I just feel so bad. Like I know that there's a lot of, demand for you in your job, and then the kids demand all your time. And so to your point, 4 against 1. And so, those struggles are real for many people across the globe. And I love how you said, you didn't set real expectations in the beginning, and now you are, right? And tell us about what are some of those expectations or boundaries, or just some of the compassion that you feel for yourself and for everything else that's going on that has helped you through this.
So the first week in the morning, I was trying to be on my laptop all day, which is just not practical with a baby and 2 kids. And so I was really frustrated with the kids, and I would end up feeling guilty because they can't do most of the things that they need done by themselves. So then the following week, I just said, I only really plug in if there are deadlines or really important things that need to get done that same day. But other than that, I just kind of do most of my work from my phone. And that allows me to be less frustrated with the kids because their demands never stop. At least with work, there's like a little break in between because it's not a deadline all day, every day.
Right.
That's how I feel with the kids.
Right. Yeah. So honestly, like I think that gratitude for smartphones that work almost exactly like a computer is helping a lot of people in these times, because you don't have to sit actually at a desk. You could literally walk around and everyone is multitasking and doing, all of these different things from their phone, and it allows them to be a little bit more flexible versus I have to sit in front of a desk and I have to all of that stuff. And so I'm glad that you were able to adapt to that, and I'm glad to hear that it's working out a little bit better for you. I know it's still a struggle having little kids, and the little kids that little demand your attention all the time, and I can definitely get that. So you're doing an amazing job, super mom over there. You really are, even if sometimes you don't feel like you are. I'm sure that Nick appreciates you. I'm sure the kids appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
You rock that.
Being real, girl. Hey, Glenn Lujan, thank you for joining us. And so, guys, Glenn, I asked Glenn to join our panel discussion because Glenn also wears several different hats. Glenn is a leader in his organization and has to run, his operation and, manage employees. remote work, sometimes go into the office, and then still help his kids with distance learning. So Glenn, the floor is yours, bud. Take it away and tell us how this is working for you and what are some of the struggles also that you're dealing with. So we want to hear about those. We want to know that you're real and that we know you're a superhero, but we also know that you're
a superhero. Wow, thank you for that. Well, what an introduction there. Thanks, Doc. Well, first, before I get into anything, I just wanted to say thank you to the educators that we have on here. Yes. Being home with the kids for going 2 weeks now and acting as their teacher to a degree has been quite interesting. They attend a private school, so their teachers are all using Google Classroom, and they have assignments that are given to them every day, every week, projects that they need to submit daily, and they get graded for. And my daughter, she's 8, she's in the 3rd grade, so her assignments need to be signed by me. So I have this joke with the kids that while they're home in a remote learning environment, they can call me Sir Dad because they call their male teachers Sir, right? So as far as coping and managing and dealing with all the remote learning and remote working, I think for me, I think the particular challenge really is in all lies in the balance, right? Like you said, Dar, and the organization I'm with Sorensen Media Group. So as a broadcaster, we have a responsibility to our community to continue to provide information and keep the news going and keep the information, getting out there, especially in times of crisis, times like this. Yes. Right. So between our radio DJs, our news people, the consultants I have on my team, having to figure out schedules so that we can socially distance, or as my boss from my military job said earlier today, he said, Glenn, let's identify it more as physically distancing, not socially distancing, right? And he shared that with me because I guess in our unit right now, my unit's in Alaska, they look at more of it as a way to help our people remain positive. We're not telling you to socially separate yourself or socially distance yourself, but when you're in an area where there are other people, you just have to physically distance yourself. Right. Right. So you can actually enjoy other people's company without being, inside of 10 feet, inside of 6 feet. Yeah. You can still carry conversations, and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, back to the whole remote working and, managing a team and helping run an organization. I think the big part for us and the big challenge has been, as I'm sure it is with a lot of other companies, is in communication and I guess identifying where to place your resources. Yeah. My particular team, their team of media consultants, a big part of their regular job is to go out there and talk to other businesses, identifying opportunities to help them. And right now, the big challenge they have is not being able to get in front of people physically, right? Because we like that person-to-person contact, right? It's important, there were times where I used to always tell my people, my team, I always say, hey guys, don't just send an email. Don't just send them a text. You got to go there, knock on their door, say hi, let them see you, get that FaceTime. And today it's a little more challenging. So now I tell them, you just got to stay in constant contact. And in many cases, all we have is WhatsApp and email. Yeah. Right. But I do tell them, I've introduced everybody on my team to Zoom. So they're able to use this particular platform to meet with each other, to meet with clients and all that kind of stuff. And on our team, there's a few members that also have kids. Right. Good point. And right. So between their kids and their experience, between themselves, between myself and my kids and my wife. You know, a lot of it really is in the balance. I know for a long time people talk about the idea of work-life balance, but I think what this particular situation, this crisis, is forcing a lot of people to do is not really look at the balance, but look at an opportunity to integrate, right? I think that's something that I saw, read, heard a couple years back about identifying opportunities for work-life integration. So here at home now that I'm remote working, remote teaching, remote meeting, training, all that kind of stuff,
Remote
I just try to
leading?
make remote leading. I try to make it fun for everybody, right? Um, I play with my kids uh, when we're sitting at the table during the day, during working hours and school hours. I tell them both. I say between 8 and 3:15, there are no devices unless you're using it for your work, right? So that means the iPhone, the iPad, the Xbox, whatever, right? So they got to find something else to do. So Felicity, my 8-year-old, she likes to sit across from me at the table when we're working during the day. She sets up the iPad, a Bluetooth keyboard. She sets up a book stand so she can do all her work from the table. And she said she likes to do it because it makes her feel grown up.
Aw.
So, you know, so she joins me at work at the table.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and every now and then she says, okay, Daddy, it's time. We need to get up and go for a walk. You know, we need to get some fresh air. So she's able to remind me as well. Same with my son. You know, he gets up, talks about stepping outside to play some basketball, get some exercise. So, you know, I think as an adult, like I think you mentioned earlier, not looking at our kids as half humans, but seeing the opportunity to see the brutally honest wisdom that children carry, right? Where they know my kids can look at me and just with the way I look, they say, Daddy, you look stressed. You look tired. You need to get up and walk away, right? And the same way we look at them and we know when they're tired, when they're stressed, when they're about to have a panic attack because the brother or sister said something wrong or did something wrong, right? These are all the different things. But yeah, I don't know, Dar, did I answer your question? Did I?
You did. You did.
Have I said too much already?
No,
I don't
but
know.
I do want to just tap into what you said about how your kids recognize when you're stressed or when you need to get up and walk away, right? Because it does come back again to what I said about our kids being full human. And I want to take what you said and go into the next part of that discussion, you know, of the behaviors that our kids display during these times is also a reflection of how we are responding as parents. They're watching all of you, and if you are plugged in to the news 24/7, if you've got that look of fear and panic every time you see someone talking about the numbers of COVID-19 going up, or you're not talking to them, but they're within earshot, and oh my gosh, we just have 5 more that are positive on Guam. And then, you know, talking about that and not bringing them into the discussion or not even recognizing that they hear you. Kids hear, and then when they see your reaction and they see mom and dad are freaking out about this, okay, now I need to freak out about it. And I'm not saying hide those emotions from our kids. One of the things that I want to encourage all of you and even our viewers is those discussions. Sit down and talk to your kids about what's happening in the world. My sister mentioned that earlier, you know, about making them watch the news every so often, and then talking about it, right? Because kids are going to have questions, and it's important for you to first talk about your emotional truth. And if you are scared and worried about what's going on in the world, it's important for you to normalize that in your home, and then talk about ways that you could kind of curb that fear, right? Or feel it so that it flows through you. And then what are some of the different ways then that you could focus your energies and your mindset on what's working. For example, if you're sheltering in place and the kids are not going anywhere and you're not going anywhere, number one, you're safe. You're not going anywhere. You're not in contact with anybody. So the rest of the world that you see on TV or on social media may be struggling with a lot. And so they're not either practicing social distancing. Maybe it's by no choice because they are first responders. They are the essential employees that have to be out there every day. They have some very real fears and concerns about bringing this this virus home to their families, right? But those of you that are staying home, you want to remind your kids, we're good, we're safe. This is why we have to practice sheltering in place. This is why we have to stay home, because we're protecting ourselves and we're protecting others, right? We want to do our part to make sure that what do they call it in the news? What are the leaders and the medical professionals saying? Flatten the curve, right? We want to do our part in flattening the curve. And, you know, we're doing our part as a family to do that. And so then that helps to take their fears from up here to down here and go, okay, now it's like, I'm not scared because I know I'm okay, but I'm sad. I'm sad for all the people out there that are suffering. I'm sad for all the people that can't, you know, be with their families while they're sick, right? And so kids have some very real emotions around that. And so that has a lot to do with what's happening in the world. But I think my sister had mentioned this earlier about how her daughter was sad that she can't talk to her friend every day. And you know, mom isn't on that same level, right? You can't share those little girl secrets with mom. And so now she doesn't have that partner, right? And, you know, I wanted to share with you guys that I was talking to my granddaughter. She's 11. And, you know, I was talking to her the other day about, you know, what this is doing for her, you know, where her emotional, you know, space is at. And she is not as scared, you know, as a lot of kids out there. She did mention that there are some of her classmates that feel like that, but for the most part, you know, she is in that middle school age bracket. So again, right, I was talking about that earlier about before COVID-19, middle school kids already have loss of identity and a lot of different struggles that they're going through as they go from being a kid into being a teenager. And those are very real emotions that they feel, you know. So with Ava, it's I miss hanging out with my friends, you know, and then also, you know, I had to ask her too, and she was honest about how does it feel about being home 24/7 with your family, you know, and that's a struggle too, right? So yes, kids and all of you, I'm sure, appreciate being home and being around family, but we also have individual boundaries. You also need to practice that, okay, I need my space. I just need to practice some self-love right now, and I need all of you guys to get out of my bubble. Right?
Yep.
And kids have that too. Kids have that too. So, you know, she says, I'm so glad that I could go upstairs into my room and lock the door, right? And not be around the whole family like all day. And so we want to acknowledge those feelings with our kids and not make them feel bad that they don't want to be around you all day, because I'm sure those are some of your feelings too. It's like, oh my gosh, right? It's like, I just need alone time. And everybody's feeling that cabin fever. So it's not just adults, it's our kids as well. And, you know, so I just want to remind all of our viewers out there that these struggles are real, not only for adults, but for the kids that are in your lives. Mick and I were talking about his daughter, and she was on the phone with him the other day, and she's a senior in high school. Prom, no more. Graduation, right? Probably not going to happen. You know, all of those college, you know, criteria that she needed to get through for the rest of the year, not going to happen. These are real stresses. Our seniors are struggling big time this year, or those that are going to be promoted, you know, from 8th grade into freshman year. Those are promotions from 5th grade into 6th grade. I mean, those are real things. Sports events not happening for the kids, right? Just hanging out with their friends. I think our team, we were talking, the grief recovery team, we were talking, and we're humans too. Just because we have the grief recovery skills and we know not to minimize and not to do all these things, guess what? We still do it every so often, but we have to reel ourselves back in, right? So some of the chatter that was going on in our group was, gosh, I was telling my kids, you know, you have nothing to complain about. Right? And so then she stops herself and goes, oh, wait a minute. You know what I mean? She has her own real human emotions. And just because she doesn't have the stresses that I have as an adult, she definitely has her own human emotions, and it's okay for her to feel that way. And so reeled herself back in. But it's easy for us. It's easy for us as adults to minimize our kids' grief and say, you don't have the adult responsibilities, get over yourself. I have to manage this. I have to figure out how to bring money into the family so I can put food on the table. I'm putting a roof over your head. All you have to worry about is being a kid, right? And so these are things that we tell our kids that make them feel that, number one, their feelings are not important enough, and so they shut down, right? And so when we ask our kids, what's wrong? Nothing. You okay? Yeah, I'm fine. But really they're not, right? And so as adults, I just want everybody to be mindful, and that's what I could offer the panel and all the viewers is, I don't have kids at home, so I can't relate to anything that you guys are talking about. I want to honor your space and your courage and your patience and everything that you're doing. And what I can offer you is just the emotional advice, the emotional tips that you can use moving forward. Tell your emotional truth, all first and foremost, always. And then when your kids tell theirs, make sure that you acknowledge it. Don't minimize it. Don't judge them. Don't tell them how to feel. Just say, I acknowledge that this is your space. I'm sad with you. I'm scared with you. You know, thank you for sharing that with me. Give them that safe space to be able to tell you that. Mom, Dad, I'm frustrated. I don't want to be around you right now. Okay, that's okay. You know what? Sometimes I don't want to be around you either. Do you want to go to your room, you know, for a few minutes and just get away from us? That's, you know, that's okay, you know. I'm gonna make whatever they're feeling be okay with them, right? Because, you know, there's a lot of struggles there. Lex is off camera, but I just wanted to share something, Lex, if it's okay. The other day when we were on the Zoom call with the Garcias, right, and how the kids were all kind of acting up and everything, it's like, attention span is not the same as ours, right? And so we're expecting the kids to wait so we can sing happy birthday, and they were all getting crazy, and it just wasn't happening, right? It just wasn't happening. And then all of a sudden, you know, they started to really act up, and poor Lex, she got really stressed. But I mean, these are little kids, so again, different age brackets have their own mental capacity to understand what they're feeling. They're going to feel and they're going to act out those feelings, but a lot of times acting out those feelings are in tantrums, are in whining, are in being very needy for your attention, because they don't know how to say, I'm scared. They don't know how to say, I need you to pay attention to me. They don't know how to say, I'm sad. They don't know how to say any of those things right now, and to be able to you know, express their feelings to their adult parents, or the adults that are in their life. And so the little ones especially, and that's what I want, you know, the viewers to know, is as smaller they are, the harder it is for them to sit there and have a conversation with you about their feelings. And so you just have to recognize where they're at. Like my sister Lee has, you know, two, is it two? Is Drayden 2 or 3?
He's 2.
2. So she's got a 2-year-old, she's got a 6 or 7-year-old, she's got, you know, 8, 9, 10, I mean, so all the way up, right, to what, 12?
Yeah.
Dylan is, yeah, so the way you talk to one kid is not going to be the same way you talk to the other kid, right? And what they comprehend is not always going to be the same either, right? I mean, let's talk about that in your household, Lee. Like, what are some of your struggles in having the very little one to the teenager?
Well, so that day that we did journaling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dylan was able to finish first. He's the oldest. He's the 12-year-old, and he wrote a full page. Noah wrote 3/4 of a page, and he was next to finish. Camilla wrote half a page, and then she was done. And then Damon, who's 6, didn't know that he was supposed to write a paragraph. So he was just writing vocabulary words. I said, are you not writing sentences yet in the first grade? And then Camilla comes and she goes, oh my God, I was writing sentences in kindergarten. He's lying. He knows how to write sentences. So I wrote a paragraph for him just for the purpose of him writing. And it was a simple paragraph. Today is Tuesday, March 31. It's sunny outside. I live in Barragata. My favorite sport is football. That was the sentence. But he needed to know that you have to capitalize the first letter of your sentence, you have to indent your paragraph, and all of those things. Like, he had to copy it the way I wrote it. So yes, and then of course Drayden was saying octagon for every shape.
I think that GDOE or even Dodea might recruit you to be a teacher when all this is over, girl.
No way. No, I can't. It's really, really hard to keep the kids engaged. So I give so much credit. I actually give credit to my two kids as teachers, because they have been communicating with me since the quarantine started and asking how the kids are doing and giving me websites and ideas and just some stuff for the kids to do, and told me not to overwhelm myself in trying to get them to have a full day of academic activity.
Right.
You know, because for one, I'm not professionally trained, and two, the kids aren't going to want to, they're not going to have this attitude towards it, because I'm mom. I'm not, Miss Bella, and I'm not Miss Shujoa and stuff like that. So, but apparently I'm harder than their teacher.
Okay, so I want to give a shout out to their teachers, because you just mentioned that, you appreciate them so much. So what are their names?
Miss Bella Cruz from Carbolito Elementary, and Cherry Yoa. I don't Dylan's teachers at Antalon. Damon's teacher, they just call her Miss M. I don't really know her full name.
And he's at Carbolito too, right?
No, yeah.
Okay.
They're really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so important, right, to really show gratitude to all the educators. And I see that on a lot of the different posts on social media. It's like the parents are going, thank you, teachers. We had no idea how hard it was. And then I see teachers posting things going, oh, parents, now you know what it's like. And so roles have been reversed, right? Roles have been reversed. And it's really interesting to see all the chatter that's going around on social media. Again, hence why I wanted to do, this very special edition on what our kids go through, because it's so important to understand that our kids are living through some very unprecedented times in history of the entire world. Like, who ever thought that we would be going through something like this in our lifetime, right? Glenn, did you have something?
Yeah, I really just wanted to chime in and add that I'm not a trained educator, teacher, right? But one of the things that I think really works for myself, and even for some members of my team when I share with them, it's identifying different things that my kids enjoy individually, using that to engage them academically. Case in point, both of my kids enjoy eating good food, right? Who doesn't? So I kind of, at the beginning of all of this, when everyone was being told, okay, you're going to remote work, you're going to remote learn and all that, one of the first things I did that first morning when I got up was I put together a very small agenda for my kids' homeschooling education. And the first thing on that agenda was taking it back to when we were all in school, and starting the day, though, with some home economics, right? So I give them an opportunity to pick what they want to cook.
Awesome.
Right? Then I supervise them, but give them the opportunity to cut things up, to fry things down, cook the rice, everything. So they're starting to learn some really, really good skills. And it's every day, Monday through Friday, they prepare breakfast, right? And then, of course, depending on what they want for lunch, I might let them do lunch or whatever. But then we have times during the day where we identify, my kids have to, every day, they have to read for at least 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon, right? But they've selected books 2 weeks ago that they're going to continue reading. So my son will finish a novel, and my daughter has the same bedtime stories or fairy tales, that she goes back to one book that's a collection of them. But also because I have a background in sales and marketing and all that kind of stuff, I have them do some math exercises, you know, and I just try to identify things that I know that I can teach that their teachers would probably be teaching them, and try to fit that into our day.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. That is so good. I really love that. Lex, I want to go to you because you have just Lily that's actually a school student, and then the other two that are daycare. So how has that, you know, how's that working out for you? I mean, she's kindergarten. I can't imagine that they're expecting a lot from the kindergartners during this time, but is her teacher providing anything for you guys, or is it just all you and what you're doing to help her?
So actually her teacher just messaged me the other day when DOE released their online learning resources. I haven't been on the website yet, but she messaged me because she said, I just wanted to let you know your child is a part of the group who is already ready for first grade reading and math.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm really bummed that I didn't get to give them the books that they need to continue reading into first grade. So she said, just
Yes. Can you ask Ani to make it for you? Wipe your eye. Go get a tissue and wipe your eye.
Just keep her brain running. But I try to let Lily lead the way. Because when we were first trying it that first week, it was a lot of anger and frustration for both of us because I still had work to do. So when she feels like doing math, and I let her do math, but these are just workbooks that we have. I haven't gone on the website yet, but I'll probably try to get to that next week. I did want to add something when you were talking about like how kids translate their sadness and stuff into tantrums and whining. And because my kids are so small, we don't do the same thing. We don't do the same things that Auntie Lee is doing with the kids because they're not old enough, so we don't watch the news and stuff like that. But and I was thinking that they're not really affected by all the media, but they still are affected by everything that is happening with coronavirus, because when their dad first left, we were only prepared that he'd be gone for 2 weeks. And kids don't really know what that feels like, how long 2 weeks feels like. But then to be cautious, he had to self-quarantine away from us out of the home for another 2 weeks. So that's about a month. And none of us were really prepared for that emotionally and mentally. And so they definitely translate all their sadness that they miss their dad into tantrums and whining. And they do say it too, but that comes after the fact. So yeah, it's challenging.
It is. And like I said, my heart, hurts for you guys. And even for Nick being away, because I know that, this isn't easy for him. And I remember the other day, he's like, okay, guys, I got to jump off of the Zoom call and discipline my kids over the phone. We kind of chuckled about it, but he's trying to do what he can to help Lex out at a distance, and that isn't always working, right? And so I just want to appreciate you guys for everything that you're doing, and just be kind to yourselves and don't feel bad about getting frustrated or support with the kids, because everyone is trying to adapt in this really different world that we live in. I want to get to the two educators in just a moment, because you guys are parents too. And I want to hear what are some of the things that you have to deal with in addition to being educators, but also being parents, and kind of where you're able to have that balance. But I wanted to share some things from a friend of mine. So I was communicating with a friend of mine that lives in California, and she is in the medical profession. So she is an essential employee and has to go to work every single day. And I asked her to be on panel, but of course, in California, it was 3 a.m. for them, and so God bless you. And so that wasn't going to work out. So she said, so I'm going to share some things with you, right? And so from a medical professional's perspective, the fears of coronavirus are real. Having to leave your family every single day, not knowing if you're going to bring the virus home, doing everything possible to keep yourself sanitized and safe, but still right? I said it in my last one, unknown. We don't see the enemy. We can't feel it. We can't taste it. We can't touch it. Or maybe we can touch it. We just don't know we're touching it. And so it's a different kind of enemy. It's a different kind of enemy that we're facing. And so she leaves every single day. And she actually just messaged me. I saw it this morning, and she said her role now has changed. She was actually in the admin part of her hospital, and now they need more people. So now she has to face patients and check in patients and do all of these things. And so she sat her kids down and talked to them about that. And then, of course, now the fears came up, like, oh my gosh, Mom, now you're going to be around these people. And so she had to tell them her emotional truth first, right? Yes, I'm scared too, right? This is definitely a difference for us to have to deal with. So she has to leave her kids every day, go to work, and deal with that. She talks to her kids about, all of the different ways to sanitize everything, right? So literally going through the steps. It's almost like going through like a fire drill or an earthquake drill with the kids, right? So now we're going through sanitation drills and, keeping yourself safe from this virus, from washing your hands to spraying counters to wearing a mask when you go out, to taking off all your clothes. And she was talking about air hugs, right? When she comes home, we give each other air hugs. They don't get next to me until I sanitize everything, including myself. I have to go shower, wash my clothes. And it's the same routine every single day. And then the very real thing of what if something happens and Mom can't come home, right? So then now the emergency response drill, right? She lives in a community where there's a lot of nurses in their neighborhood. And so they've all banded together for those parents that do stay home. They're keeping an eye on all the kids, checking in on all the kids of the nurses that have to report to work, such as herself. And so now there's this emergency drill of if Mom doesn't come home, these are the things that need to be done. And so having those type of real conversations, like, all of us are sitting here going, we don't have to have those conversations with our kids because we're not in the front lines. But, like my heart has so much compassion, and it's heavy sometimes when I think about these professionals that are out there, the law enforcement, the doctors, the nurses, everyone that has to be in the stores, right? I saw that Facebook message the other day about, the workers of Payless and Home Depot and Cautionless that are keeping stores open so every person on the island can still go out and buy food and necessities for their family, yet they're putting themselves at risk because they don't know if the people that are coming in, the customers that are coming in, are carrying the virus. And so they're putting themselves at risk every day. They may not be medical professionals, but they are still essential employees. And so, lots of gratitude and love and prayers to these guys for all the work that they do and for selflessly giving and putting themselves in harm's way for the people that they serve, right? And so I just wanted to bring that up and talk about my friend Jen's story, and also just thank her because I'm going to post this. And, Jen, if you're listening, her name is Jennifer Bernardo. She works in California, one of the medical facilities out there. You're doing an amazing job, always going to cover you in prayer as well. And, just have so much gratitude for the work that you do. So I want to go back now to Marcella and Marissa, and I want to, ask you guys, so you're educators, but you're also moms, right? So Riss, why don't you go first and tell us, how is that working with having, Nishi home with you and then still having to worry about, what is it, first grade that you teach?
Yeah, first
right?
grade.
Right, and then you also have college kids, and so
yes, I adjunct at GCP.
So you wear different, different hats for different levels of human beings, right? So talk to me first about being a mom and what this environment is doing in that area of your life.
Well, the first week was tough, right? Because we come from a very busy lifestyle. So Chris and I just we work all day, and then by the time dinner comes, we're usually out eating at the restaurants.
Right.
So the first week that we were quarantined, it was really tough because we had to cook, and it was an adjustment. But by the second week, Nishi was like, I don't want to eat home cooked food, can we please go, and she was willing to eat Wendy's, and she was willing to eat KFC. She didn't care. She just didn't want to see the pot on the stove. So it was super funny. Another funny story about her was she was FaceTiming with her friend, and I guess they were showing off masks, and they were asking her, where's her mask and why doesn't she have a mask? And she goes, I don't go anywhere. Why do I need a mask? I was giggling, and I was like, again, child, we are trying to protect you. We're not trying to, we're not making it harder for you. We don't know. And like you said, right, we don't know. The virus doesn't glow green, so we don't know where it's at.
Right.
And, and it's scary. It's truly scary.
Yeah.
I actually, I try as much as possible with the parents that I have on WhatsApp with my little ones. I send voice recordings, me telling them that I love them. They can even hear my voice on my Google Classroom as I'm telling them how to log on to Epic, which is like a free reading website to get books and whatnot, so they can hear me. And I actually crack at the end of my recording because I truly miss my little ones. I had a hard time. Yeah. So as I was telling parents, to tell them, how they can log on to my Google Classroom, after a while, I just had to stop. And Chris was listening to me, and I was just literally crying because I just didn't know. I felt helpless, and then even my GCC students, they're so limited. And like for me as an instructor, I try as much as possible not to get on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is so popular, and I've been teaching at GCC since 2011, and I've never been on a WhatsApp group. But man, when this happened, I had no choice but to give my personal number and to try as much because sometimes, WhatsApp is all they had. To communicate with me. And I always, tell them, I'm here for you. I am your instructor. Whatever you need, I'm here. So whether or not my class is only on Tuesday and Thursday, I'm going to, be here all hours of the day. Message me, do whatever, I'm here,
Yeah.
But yeah, as a mom, it's tough. She's really missing her cousins. And I told her, I said 14 days, then now I'm pushing it to 20. And then now, with this new extension, and and there's just nothing I can do, but hug her, right? I'm just her. Yeah.
Yes, just acknowledge her feelings and allow her to express them, and not feel bad for feeling that way, right? Because that's super important, especially during these times. Marcella, your turn, hun. So how I know you've got a little one and then like a young adult. So tell us how that is for you and being able to manage that and still be present for your teachers and your faculty.
Sorry, my daughter wants to say hi. Stand up and you could say hi. Okay.
Hi, sweetheart.
How old are you? She's 6 years old. She's in first grade. So I'm very thankful to our teachers. Thank you, Marissa, for teaching. Her teacher too has gotten in contact with us, and that's been great. She does miss her, and she misses being in the class with students. She did do a thank you, so I did a little video, and we sent it to her teacher on WhatsApp, just because she does miss her, and she does recognize that Miss Courtney helps her with her words, and she helps her with math. So she really is missing her teachers and her friends. She misses, and she did start her on a ReadWorks. She started a domain on ReadWorks, so she has the students going in every day and being able to read and then answer questions and look over vocabulary, and so that's been good. And she likes to log in because she gets to see all her friends' names. Sorry.
Cool.
My husband is outside grinding and working, so
I can't hear it.
Okay. And then my 20-year-old is in her second semester of college, and she's missing the classroom. She's missing being able to leave and just have her days away from us. And she verbalizes it pretty often. She's so bored. She wants to just be away, Some of the things that we have to do, we get creative. I don't know if you guys know bananagrams. but it's like Scrabble without the board. And so my 20-year-old and I will play. My daughter wanted me to show you what it is. So it's a bag of letters, tiles.
Oh, okay.
And it's almost like making up your own crossword. And so my 20-year-old and I will play the way that it's regularly played. And then my 6-year-old will just take the tiles and make words. Like she just makes her words straight in a line. And so we did that. We did puzzles. We did like we go outside and she'll ride her bike, and then my older one will ride the scooter. And just it's hard because it's such a big gap, right? One of the big advantages that I have though is the past couple of days is my 20-year-old has actually been, thank God, like a substitute teacher for my 6-year-old. So I can't imagine, Lex. I empathize with you, having all the little ones and trying to entertain and engage all of them at the same time as teaching your kindergartner. But I do want to say that I did hear from some homeschool teachers, our parents that are homeschool teachers, who have said to really have more grace on yourselves as homeschool teachers, not to have the expectation of a regular classroom. Like, you're not going to do a whole 8 hours of academics, you can break it up down, 2 to 3 hours of, academics throughout the day, and then filling in with supplemental things, kind of like what Glenn was saying, where he's doing cooking, where they're being able to do real life experiences as a part of their academics, and painting, science, social studies, those other things. I mean, reading and math is what I'm always like, okay, do those reading, do that math, but just the creative pieces of learning, I think are very important as well. And that's not something that they get to do as freely in the school setting, I think, or classroom setting, as they can do at home. So now's the time to make slime and bubble paint. And I did get some prompts from her gate teacher, which is really good. Kind of drawing squiggly lines and then have them finish the picture, or put dots on a line and then have them, or dots on a page and have them create their own picture from those dots, or tell stories about what they're feeling with art. So it's, as parents, I want to just say shout out to the parents, because this is a whole new realm, and I do appreciate all the appreciation posts for teachers. When people ask me, why am I not a teacher? I tell them it takes special people to be a teacher.
Amen.
Counseling does its own, it has its own moments of teaching, right? There's that psychoeducational piece, but it is very different. My husband is an 8th grade science teacher, and he deals with 100+ students every day when he was in the classroom. For me, I could not imagine, dealing with the personalities. And he tells me himself, I'm not just a teacher. I'm a counselor. Sometimes I'm a nurse. Sometimes I'm, he does so many other things aside from just teaching instruction. And so teachers, thank you so much for all you do. I do appreciate this time that we're given in order to appreciate the people that are doing what they do. Even the grocery workers, the frontliners, the medical staff, they're all doing so much just to make this happen. And it really does highlight humanity and the realities of the things we miss. I've never been so thankful for teachers.
I think most parents out there feel that way.
Yes. I mean, it's thank you. I can't say it enough. Thank you so much.
And our frontliners are also parents too, right? And that's why I wanted to share my friend Jen's story. So we are coming up to being together for an hour. I hate to see us go, but I don't want to keep us too long. I know it's your evening. It's my start of my day. But I want to just go around to the panel one by one and just give us a couple of tips that you want to give to our viewers that has helped you in making sure that your kids are safe and emotionally healthy and tapping into their creativity, and then how, you know, you're helping yourself as well as the adults in their life, and making sure that you are also practicing some sort of self-care and self-compassion during these times. So I'm going to start with my sister, Lee. Actually, let me just check that out. I'm going to start with Glenn, just in case I lose him. Glenn might get lost in the transition of his battery going dead. So Mr. Glenn Lujan, talk to us and give us a few tips of yours that you want to give to the viewers that are listening, as a dad or as a leader, whatever you want to give.
Wow, okay, as a dad, as a leader, whatever, I'd say, well, first as a dad, as a parent, in these times when having to work with your kids at home is, like I was saying earlier, you know, look at it as an opportunity to do some work-life integration. Include them in some of the things you're doing, and include yourself in some of the things that you need to do as well. That way you're doing a lot of these things together, right? And I think it's through that togetherness and the encouragement and telling them, hey, it is hard. I get stressed out, you get stressed out, and identifying that with them allows them to, or encourages them, like you said, Dar, to take that moment and be in their emotion at that time, right? Another thing is, I guess, when it comes to just having to work at home, right? Talking to my immediate supervisor last week, one of the things we discussed was reminding our teams that when you're remote working, one of the easiest things for you to do would be to dress as if you were going to work, right? That helps get everybody in the home in that same mindset that, hey, you know, there's a certain degree of normalcy or normality, right, that you want to be able to encourage and try to instill in the home, even though it's not normal. So I might put on a polo shirt, might put on a button up, and in case I need to take some calls, I tell my kids, when you get up, make sure you brush your hair, put on a nice shirt or something. That way, throughout the day, we do feel as though we are having to go to work or go to school. And this is Felicity.
Hi, Felicity.
Darlene said hi. Right. She came out to ask who I was talking to.
Oh.
So talking to everybody that's listening.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess just identifying the opportunities, right? Like with Felicity here, every now and then I like to say that my life is a musical because she loves to sing about anything and everything. Sometimes she'll take melodies of songs we all know, changes the words, and we'll have conversations with me in song, right? And when you're being challenged by your environment at home, and you've got kids that are extremely creative, which I believe all kids are, and if you haven't figured out where their creativity is, I think you just have to let them loose a little bit more, right? To put it that way, let them explore further. I tried to tell the kids to journal, and Felicity said, well, I don't write stories, I draw them.
That's
right?
good.
And,
yeah, that's good too.
Right, and she just said that to me today. So, you know, little things like that as far as tips for parents, right? Give the kids opportunities to do things that, right, that's beautiful. So she's showing this to me. I think she just wants me to show it to you all.
Oh, that is beautiful, right? Felicity. I love that.
So that's something she did last week, I think, and you know, every day she tries to do something different. And I guess biggest tip would be, in these times, encourage your kids, encourage them to do things differently. Like Felicity just said, be different.
Yeah.
You know, and let them be. It's something, Dara, I know you've heard me say many times, and I'll say it here. If it were the last thing I were to say on this call, as my biggest tip for you and for your kids, is just be true to you.
Right. Yeah. That's Glenn's hashtag on LinkedIn, and he uses that a lot. That's what I remember about Glenn. Just be true to you. And that is so true. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that a lot of parents are going to learn and be inspired by all of that. Okay. So we're going to go to my sister, Lisa, and take it away and give us some of your tips of what has helped you, and, you know, what are some of the things that have helped the kids as well in your home. Oh, shoot. Hold on. You are on mute. Sorry.
I
Okay,
didn't mute my.
I know I had to mute you earlier because I wasn't sure where the background noise was coming from. Okay, go.
Not me, I'm in my car. Anyways, so what I've learned in the last couple of weeks that I've been home with the kids is to change it up. Try not to be so stuck to doing the same things every day. You know, just do something every day.
Right.
Like, you know, they don't want to do math work, like real math work. So they wanted to eat chocolate chip cookies. We didn't have any, so we baked some. Little did they know they were doing math, because they had to read the instructions. They had to measure the ingredients.
Right.
Of course, I did all the hard work, but they did all the prep work. They took all the ingredients out of the pantry and the refrigerator, prepared all the measuring cups.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so all I did was guide them. After it was time for it to go into the oven, I did the rest of it, and then they ate it. So, you know, something like that. And then they missed going out and be able to go to the movies. I said, okay, let's have movie night. So we popped some popcorn. They got to pick a movie, and, you know, we made the room dark, and, you know, we went to the movies.
That is so cool. I love that.
Cool, because my daughter-in-law bought one of those blow-up pools, and the kids were out in the afternoon and they were at the pool. So, I mean, really, it's just keeping them engaged, talking to them all the time, getting them to do different things, and not to get on each other's nerves. Because if they're in that small space, like they're all in their room and somebody's playing a game and somebody's watching on their iPad and somebody's drawing, the noise, the noise of each one of them tends to get irritating. So I just have to try to get them to give each other space.
Right.
You know, just let him play the game by himself. Go in your corner and read your book, and you go over there and do something. But just change it up. I think that's the best advice I could give. And there's so many resources out there. Stay in contact with your kids' teachers. Go online and just find out what other people are doing, because that's really what helped me. And get creative and let your kids choose. You don't always have to be the one to make the decision. Find out what it is that they want to do.
Yeah.
And you got to just be creative and do it within your own space and your own means, because we can't go anywhere.
Right. Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, I'm gonna unmute Lex. Lex, are you there?
Yes.
There you go. Okay, honey, what are some tips that you want to give to parents with little kids like you, and that are also having to remote work? And, you know, in your case right now, you are by yourself, right? So sometimes being a single parent, that is definitely your role right now until Nick gets home.
Yeah.
So what are some tips that you want to share?
I think, so before I said like setting realistic expectations, but actually I think we're going on the third week, so having no expectations is the real reality, because then it allows everyone to kind of just be I don't know how to, like, not stressed.
Right.
So the stress is not there. And then I do let the kids decide like what they want to do throughout the day. And I usually have my laptop here at the table. And so when they become like restless and it's still too early for them to go outside, then I'll move to the toy room and just have them play while I'm on my phone. So changing the scenery and just having no expectations, and I think giving yourself grace, because if you give yourself grace, then you'll extend that grace to your kids, and that's really what we all need right now.
Yes, yes.
Oh my God.
Perfect. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And Lex has been doing a couple of different things, because when I talk to Lily especially, right, because she has more attention span to be on FaceTime with me than Frankie does. So, Lily will show me what her and mommy painted, or she was in her pretty dress, or she'll say, Jima, help me pick out a dress. Mommy and I are going to have a dance party. Or she'll take me around the room and, try and keep her engaged so that Lex can have a little bit of a break and we just have our conversations. And, they were in the pool the other day and they were out back, and Frankie's jumping, like giving us both a heart attack, because we're not sure if he's gonna, hit his head. But
that's 24/7,
right.
Unless he's sleeping.
right. Being a boy, but just giving them that freedom, of course, within safe boundaries. But yeah, thank you for sharing that, because it's important. All the kids have different levels of understanding what's going on, and even understanding their own emotions and what triggers, or what are the behaviors that they're trying to express from the human emotions that they're feeling. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so teachers and educators, Marcella and Marissa, any final thoughts from you before I wrap it up?
I love all the advice from the parents. I definitely love the change it up. But keeping routines is definitely important. Like Glenn was sharing, wake up in the morning, shower, get dressed, and do your day, right? And like Lee was sharing, if you need to change it up and not make them do math, paper pencil, let them bake, let them cook. That's definitely an interaction that's very important. We need to constantly be with our kids, and talking, especially with me having a 16-year-old, talking is very important. And supporting our kids, but also our spouses. I can remain level-headed because I have a supportive spouse, and he reminds me, like, don't irritate your daughter. But we need to love each other during this time. We definitely need to love each other. We don't know what the plans are, what God has planned for us, right? But there is a reason why we're at home, and we just need to take care of ourselves and each other.
Thank you for that, Marcella.
Thank you for all the advice. I love it. I think one of the things that I would say is get in your me time. I don't know how you do it. Sometimes it's 10 minutes locked in the bathroom, whatever it is. I do try to meditate every morning, get to read my scriptures and pray. And then I connect with other people that are my age, that are my friends, my peers on Zoom like this. And I talk and interact with other people too. So I think it's important for our kids to do that. So I'm going to look into seeing if I can get some other, maybe some other 6-year-olds that can get online and maybe connect with Matea in this way, because I think if it's important for me, it's probably important for her. I think my older one, she has more, she's more tech savvy. She can do that on her own with other peers that are 20 somethings, right? But I think having personal time on your own and your own space is important, not just for yourself, but for the health of your family. I do feel like constantly having to meet the needs of everybody. What does my husband need? What does my daughter need? What does my other daughter need? What do my animals need? Like, I feel like, wow, not only am I very much needed, but I'm easily accessible. So it's not like I could run away and be gone and like, wait guys, because I have an appointment downtown. But now I'm like, okay. So cutting out your own time, even though you're stuck at home, is important. If you have to go outside and find a spot, do that. Even for the kids to get out and ride their bike or do physical activity, like that's so important. And getting sunlight is so important. So doing that, especially with this whole cabin fever and feeling like we can't do anything, the one thing we do have is time. So with the time we have, do what we can with it and enjoy it as well. Find the things that you can really enjoy, and listening to music, doing dances, playing with your kids, just having fun with the time that we're given, I think is really important too. So I guess that's what I would say, and that's what I would share. And I would like to see kids on a panel like this. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Hearing Felicity give her input and her seeing my daughter whisper things to me from over here, or both my daughters. Like I mentioned, being bored or wanting to get away from one another, and my older daughter's like, like, I'm like, yeah, just, she's stop. She's so bad. But yeah, I mean, we do need to hear from them. And so like, that would be a great next step with regard to this. So thank you guys for all you do and for hearing us out. I love hearing from everybody. So thanks for sharing.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you. Thank you for that too. You talk about, having those discussions, right, for the kids, and because it's important for us to connect like this. More importantly, the kids as well, right? We never really think about that. And, it leads me to some of my final thoughts as well is, I did this mostly, again, as a spinoff from the last Facebook Live that I did, the March Grief Talk. And what was a lot of the feedback that I got was from parents that said, help me help my kids. What do I do in these times? And I'm like, okay, well, I don't have any kids at home. I can help you from the emotional perspective, but let's bring on some parents from different areas, in the world where you guys have, you either remote working, your teachers, you're retired, whatever it is, and be able to give views on all of this stuff. But yes, I want to encourage not only, for the kids to maybe incorporate some sort of video chat that the kids can get together, like with their cousins, right? Or their classmates, and encourage that interaction so that they're not losing that. This is the time where you guys all said it, be creative, right? Use the time that we have to push beyond your limits, to think outside the box, and to really connect in a way that we've never had an opportunity. Before coronavirus, everybody said, I'm too busy to do any of this stuff. Now it's like, oh crap, I have so much time in my day. What do I do? Right? And so, the other conversation that I'm looking to have is probably there with my LinkedIn group is about, work, and how employers also need to practice compassion to their employees, because again, you guys are having to attach being parents and being employees at the same time. And that's why I brought Glenn on here, but it's a whole different conversation to have at a later time. I want to thank all of you for just sharing your stories, sharing your creative ideas, your hearts, sharing your children with us and what are some of the things that they're going through. And I just want to leave this with everybody about human emotion. What we teach in grief recovery is the exact same thing that we want you to share with your kids, right? Don't minimize your kids' emotions. Acknowledge what they're feeling. Don't tell them how to feel. Don't judge. Don't criticize. Give them the safe space to be able to share their feelings. Lead and tell your emotional truth first. And then, set boundaries around yourself and allow them to set boundaries around themselves. Because in this time of all connecting, it's all good and everything, but sometimes we just need to walk away and go, you're invading my bubble. I just need to walk away for an hour or whatever, right? And kids need that too. So connection, but also connect with yourself, and kids got to do the same thing. So thank you guys so much. I have a feeling that this won't be the last conversation. I hope that people will get the idea to connect on their own social media, connect with other parents, connect with like-minded individuals, have your kids connect with others, and let's keep this momentum going of connecting in creative ways while still practicing social distancing. So everybody be safe. I love you all so much. Thank you again.
Star.
I'm going to record this and then I'll share this. And you guys, please share it as well on your social media platforms, all right?
Will do.
Guys,
Bye.
have a good night.